To the top of our countdown now in our #1 story. Not everybody you hear on the radio playing music is a qualified disc jockey. It's not as easy as it sounds, but an amateur can get away with it for a few hours with a lot of help. And such it was 25 years ago, right now, on a frigid December night at WVBR-FM, the commercial radio station in Ithaca, New York, owned by students at Cornell University. A fraudulent amateur was on the air that night, back visiting his alma mater, kidding around, playing records on the air, and they were records. And the Beatles song In My Life, John Lennon's haunting revelations of his own large soul, had just started playing when the awful news came across a giant clacking teletype machine. Lennon had not merely been shot twice outside his own home at the Dakota apartment building in New York, but he was DOA at Roosevelt Hospital. And the amateur DJ, and I'm guessing you've already figured it out, it was me, had to follow that extraordinary song that evoked Charles Lamb's 18th century poem, and in which Lennon recalled his late friend and former Beatles member Stuart Sutcliffe. I had to follow the lyric, In My Life I Love You More, with the stark and heartbreaking announcement that simply went, John Lennon is dead. For millions of Americans and countless millions more around the planet, the world changed in a way not unlike the way it did when President Kennedy was assassinated. Only we could not even imagine the grimmest, most conspiracy theory-riddled motive. It was then, it still seems now, to have been a crime without explanation, the ending of a life simply to deprive the man who lived it, and those who loved him, and those who admired him, that bright light he brought into the world. Tonight, John Lennon would have been a 65-year-old man, perhaps still performing as hip or more so than his old partner Paul McCartney. At some point before the death of George Harrison, an anniversary that itself came just 9 days ago, the three of them and Ringo Starr would surely have reunited if for nothing more than a charity performance or recording. Instead, tonight is the 25th anniversary of John Lennon's murder. Tonight he remains, as he has since December 8, 1980, frozen in time and in memory as the 40-year-old part poet, part insurrectionary, who had just months before the end seemed to have found himself. The rest of us, of course, are still looking for him in so many different places. Foremost of them, perhaps, a part of New York City's Central Park, where the faithful were joined by an unexpected visitor today. More from our correspondent, Michelle Franzen.
A large crowd of fans from around the world came to Central Park's Strawberry Fields to remember John Lennon, the man who influenced and inspired a generation through music and ideals.
Lennon and the Beatles were an inspiration to my life. They actually affected the way I live my life.
Lennon's widow, Yoko Ono, made an appearance at the gathering across the street from her home to honor her husband and connect with fans. 25 years after Lennon's death, many are still overcome by emotion.
He was a poet.
The Beatles member, who branched out as a solo artist and peace activist, was gunned down outside his New York City apartment. The shooter, Mark David Chapman, was a disillusioned fan who was upset over Lennon's lifestyle and politics. Friend and former Beatle, Paul McCartney, reflected and said he remembers getting the phone call about Lennon's murder like it was yesterday.
I still find it difficult. You know, the world misses John. He was a great guy. He was just a special man.
At the Strawberry Fields Memorial in Central Park, devoted fans celebrated Lennon's life and legacy with music. Moments of silence and memories of the cultural era he symbolized.
Michelle Franzen at Strawberry Fields in Central Park in New York. Our MSNBC coverage continues next with Rita Cosby, live and direct tonight from Afghanistan. That's Countdown. I'm Keith Olbermann. Keep your knees loose. Good night and good luck.